My beloved child, before you turn away, before your mind hastily builds up barriers to avoid confronting the pain, I plead with you, stay a little longer. Do not rush past what I am about to reveal. Do not close your heart simply because you fear being hurt one more time. For these words, though they may sting in the moment, are not spoken to condemn or accuse, but to heal. I do not seek to touch your wound to make it bleed, but I must remove the infection that is quietly weakening your soul day by day, and you cannot recover if you continue to cling to what I have already appointed to be removed. My child, I have been silently watching all that you've endured. I see how you've tried to hold on to a relationship that is fractured from the inside. I've witnessed the times you've wept in silence, the nights you tossed and turned because of words that pierced your heart. I see the exhausted efforts you've made, your prayers, your hope, your tireless attempts to keep the connection from unraveling. You've done everything within your power, and I honor that. I know you are not selfish, and I know how deeply you try before letting go. But this is what you must understand. Not everyone who walks beside you was meant to journey with you to the very end. There is someone close to you, someone you have trusted, opened your heart to, and placed great hope in. Yet this person, perhaps without even realizing it, is draining the peace from your soul. Their presence does not lift you up. Instead, it places on your shoulders burdens that were never yours to carry. They do not draw you closer to me, but gradually pull you away from the sacred place of intimacy we once shared. You have begun to trade your time with me for the constant demands of this relationship. You've started accepting wounds as the cost of love. You've begun thinking, if I try just a little harder, if I love more, if I wait long enough, then maybe things will change. But I want you to understand this. Love does not mean holding on to what I have called you to release. I do not come to sever this bond out of cruelty. I take no pleasure in your sorrow. But I love you too much to let you imprison yourself in a connection that is silently suffocating your spirit. I have spoken through many signs. I have sent quiet warnings, sometimes in dreams, sometimes through an unshakable sense of unrest, and sometimes through circumstances that have forced you to confront the truth. But still, you hold on, because you do not want to hurt someone else. You believe your perseverance is an act of kindness. Yet, misplaced compassion can become a silent permission that drains your own soul. This person is not evil. I know that, and so do you. But they are not ready to walk with you on the path I am leading you into. They are not yet prepared to enter the spiritual depths to which I am calling you. They are still bound by things I have already delivered you from. And if you keep trying to bring them along, you will lose pace, not just with them, but with me. True love does not cling from fear, does not bind through guilt, and does not survive through one-sided sacrifice. If you must surrender your peace, your worship, your sacred intimacy with me, just to maintain a relationship, then something has been misplaced. Therefore, in my mercy, I have chosen to do what you could not. I allowed the distance to form. I permitted the misunderstandings to unfold. I orchestrated the situations that compelled you to face the truth, not to punish but to awaken, not to bring about an end through anger, but to bring freedom through love. What you may perceive as loss, I call a rescue. I am pulling you out from what would have kept you entangled in delay, in confusion, and in a half-lived journey. For I did not call you to live within compromise. I have called you to walk in freedom, in light, and in the fullness of my will. For a long time you have been bound by attachments, by habits, by cycles of thought and emotion that quietly drained you day by day. They did not come with shouting or obvious attack. They came dressed in familiarity, in the quiet lie that whispered, "This is just how things have always been." They made you believe that exhaustion was normal, that holding everything together was your duty, and that losing yourself was a small price to pay to keep everyone else happy. But I, the one who sees deeper than human eyes, the one who knows your heart more intimately than even you do, have seen the root of your weariness. I saw the turmoil no one else could see. I saw you forcing a smile when your soul was collapsing inside. I saw the hidden wounds, the suppressed emotions, and the silent sacrifices you made in the belief that if I'm good enough, maybe everything will change. But my beloved, there are burdens you were never called to carry. There are soul ties that, if not severed, will continue to pull you away from the glorious destiny I have prepared for you. I know that deep down, you have sensed this too. But you lacked the strength to say, "This is enough." You struggled to draw the line. You hesitated to walk away from what has become so familiar, even when it no longer nourishes your soul. And that is why I am stepping in, not as a distant God shouting orders from above, but as a merciful Father. I come with steady hands and a heart moved with compassion. To do what you cannot, I will draw the boundaries. I will make clear the line between what must remain and what must go. I will protect your soul, even when you are not yet able to protect it yourself. Do not misunderstand. This is not rejection. This is release. I am not abandoning you in the midst of a battle. I am lifting you out of a place where you will never soar if you remain there too long. For the wholeness I have ordained for you does not exist in relationships that ensnare you, nor in spiritual compromises, nor in sacrificing your essence to cling to what is no longer healthy. That wholeness exists in another land, a place where you can breathe deeply without needing permission, a place where you can be fully yourself without masks, a place where you are loved, not for who you strive to be, but for who you are. Love as I love you. I am opening a new door before you. But to step through, you must become lighter. You must shed the burdens that were never yours to bear. You must learn to say no to what I no longer call yes. And yes, it will hurt, I know. You will feel the ache of absence. There will be nights when you turn away and tears fall. There will be moments when you question, am I wrong? Am I selfish? But I say this so you will know, you are not wrong for protecting yourself. You are not wrong for choosing to follow my voice. You are not wrong for letting go of what has already reached its appointed end in your journey. And my child, when you bravely step out of the old, you will not feel empty for long. I will fill you, not with fleeting things, but with my very presence. You will be led into a peace that runs deep. You will stand upon solid ground, not shaken by emotions, not swayed by the reactions of others. You will return to yourself, the version of you that I designed from the beginning, before the wounds, before the expectations, before the roles of life began to carve away at your soul. This is a time of transformation, not merely a change in appearance, but a reshaping from within. It is a reconstruction of the soul, where I am removing the old, lifting away the weight of heavy memories and broken promises, and replacing them with new life. This is a new beginning, built upon an unshakable foundation, a future no longer tethered to the pull of the past, a path where your steps will no longer bleed, but instead be filled with hope, holiness, and power. That person may once have been a deeply significant part of your inner circle, someone you trusted, someone you once dreamed would walk with you to the very end. But now you have begun to feel, not only with your mind, but through every quiet ache in your soul, that this connection has been draining you. You find yourself walking on eggshells, speaking cautiously, hiding parts of yourself simply to preserve a temporary peace. Yet that fragile peace has come at the cost of your own inner rest. And my child, I did not create you to live that way. I have seen the way you shrink beneath words that make you feel small. I've watched as you gave away your time, your energy, even your divine calling, just to try and keep the peace in a relationship that no longer nourishes you spiritually. And slowly you began to lose the most precious thing I placed within you, the identity of one who is free, unconditionally loved, and chosen to step into something greater. You began to live in survival rather than living to reveal my glory. You started to doubt my voice, because the controlling voice within that relationship grew louder and louder. And I, in my unchanging love, cannot allow that to continue. You may see this separation as rejection, but I tell you, no, this is not abandonment. This is protection. Protection for your soul, for your future, for the sacred assignments I etched your name into before time began. I did not allow this disconnection to bring loss into your life, but because I saw what was quietly dying within you, as you kept clinging to what no longer belonged. I love that person, but I love you too much to let you sacrifice your divine destiny for something that is out of season, out of rhythm, and misaligned with my will. You have lived long enough in the gray zone, trying to love while also contorting yourself just to keep from losing who you are. You've carried invisible burdens, emotional weight, fear of being misunderstood, pain from being dismissed, and the torment of feeling forced to choose between loyalty to another and obedience to my voice. But today, I come to lift that burden off your shoulders. You do not have to choose between the two. You only need to choose me, and I will take care of the rest. Spiritual companionship is not just about emotional closeness. It is about walking together in purpose and divine understanding. If someone no longer seeks me, no longer honors what I am doing within you, no longer stirs your spiritual growth, then that relationship, no matter how deeply bonded it once was, is no longer good soil for the seeds of your future. You were called to bear fruit, and I will not allow hardened ground to hold back your growth. You might think, if I just try a little harder, maybe they'll change. But child, transformation is something I do when a heart is ready. And sometimes I must take you out of the familiar so that both hearts can be spared further pain. If I've allowed a separation, it's not because you failed. It's because you finished your part. You have loved, you have forgiven, you have endured, and now it is my turn to act, to lead you out of barrenness and into a place flowing with living water. Divine protection doesn't always look the way you want it to. Sometimes it shows up as loss, as loneliness, or as brokenness. But in truth, it is my gentle arm pulling you back from the edge of a cliff. It is my hand placed between you and the very thing that would have led you astray in days to come. It is a loving arrangement, allowing what is true and right to draw near, and permitting what no longer fits to quietly depart in peace. And then, after you pass through the initial pain, after your tears begin to dry, you will come to understand no price is too high for spiritual freedom. You will find yourself breathing more deeply, walking more lightly, and hearing my voice with newfound clarity. You will begin to laugh again, not because everything is perfect, but because you are no longer living in that quiet tension between trying to hold on and knowing you must let go. And when you rise again, in the light of newness and resurrection, you will no longer be who you were. You will be someone refined by trials, strengthened in faith, and filled with mercy, because now you know the difference between a love that is healthy and an attachment that once masked itself as love. My beloved, let this be the beginning, not the ending. Let this wound become the wellspring of life. Let today's sorrow carve a road toward tomorrow's radiance. I do not promise that you will never remember, but I promise this: whenever you look back, you will see my hand there, never having left you, not even once. I am not only the one who prunes, I am also the one who heals. I am not only the one who leads you out, but the one who ushers you into the promised land, into the place where you truly belong, where you will be known, cherished, and upheld as I have always loved you. I know that some of the things I do in your life are not easy to understand, and yes, there are times when my movements leave a silent ache within your heart. When I take something from your hands, something you once loved, clung to, or thought you would carry for a lifetime, it can feel like you've stepped into a barren land, without a map, without direction, without companionship. But child, hear me. I do not separate you to isolate. I place you where nourishment can reach you, a sacred ground where healing begins, where restoration unfolds, where your spiritual roots grow deeper and your heart softens again in my presence. Like a tree, you need space to grow. But when your roots are being strangled by an environment that no longer nurtures you, by a fractured relationship or a constraining circumstance, you can no longer expand. And I, the true vine-keeper, cannot allow you to remain in spiritual malnourishment. I love you too much to stand by and watch you keep bending yourself to fit molds that no longer come from me. Holding on to things that feel safe, but are silently blocking you from entering the fullness of life I prepared for you from everlasting past. You have sacrificed much, I know. You have shrunk your dreams, dimmed your light, adjusted who you are just to blend in. You chose silence when you needed to speak, yielded when you deserved respect, and tucked away your sacred dreams because you believed, perhaps this isn't meant for me. But, my child, I did not call you to shrink. I did not fashion you to merely exist within confined spaces, living to meet others' expectations while no longer hearing the call that comes from heaven. I do not want you to sacrifice the truth of who you are just to maintain a temporary illusion of stability. Because sometimes that kind of stability is the very prison that keeps your soul weary, your spirit muted, and your heart aching beneath the surface. This season of separation is not a punishment. It is a divine redirection, a sacred invitation from heaven calling you to pause, to look deeply into your heart, and to realize you have been walking for too long in a direction that no longer leads to glory. I am not angry with you. I am not disappointed because you took a wrong path. On the contrary, I rejoice that you have chosen to stop, for in that stillness you are beginning to hear me more clearly. You are beginning to remember who you are. You are beginning to ask again what truly matters. And I, the one who created you, am here to lead you back to a better path, where life, joy, and freedom await you with open arms. You may feel empty. You may look around and see no one left standing with you. Those who were once close now seem distant. The places that once felt like home now feel cramped and no longer satisfy your soul. But my beloved, sometimes I must remove the noise so that your heart can be quiet enough to recognize it is I who remain. It is I who am your true home. When others walk away, I stay. When this door closes, I open another. Not hastily, but in perfect timing. And in this time of waiting, I am preparing your spirit not just to enter into the new, but to be strong enough to hold it fully, without compromise. Do not fear the distance I am creating. It is not to leave you cold. On the contrary, it is the sacred space where your heart softens again, and where my love is sown once more into soil you thought had gone barren. I am pulling you out of what is narrow, not to leave you wandering, but to lead you into a place with no more limitations, a new land, a new chapter, a fresh beginning where you will no longer need permission to be who you truly are. There you will no longer have to shrink yourself just to preserve connections that are no longer aligned with my spirit. There you will begin to see why I placed dreams inside you that others could not understand. And the beautiful truth is this: you are not walking alone. In the silence, I am with you. In the loss, I am touching every wound. In the nights with no words, I am whispering to your soul, you have not been abandoned. You are being repositioned. Let the tears fall, not as a sign of failure, but as a cleansing of all that no longer belongs to you. Let me strip away every old layer, the titles, the expectations, the pressure that you wore just to fit in. I want you to walk with lightness, no longer burdened, no longer needing to prove anything. You are enough, not because you've done enough, but because you belong to me. And those who belong to me do not need to live by the approval of others. They live by the word that comes from heaven. They live by the unchanging love I have for them. They live by the truth that, if I have chosen them, nothing can separate them from the destiny I have prepared. So, my beloved, let this season soften you, not harden you. Let this separation become the launch pad into your promised land, Let the things you once feared to let go become the very evidence that you trusted me more than your feelings. And when you look back, you will not see a season of loneliness, but a season of divine protection. Not a time of rejection, but a time of consecration. And you will know, with certainty, that this very place, the one you thought was your breaking point, was where healing began to pour forth. My precious child, perhaps these words have been lingering in your heart, though you've never dared to say them out loud. I still love them, and I affirm this truth within you. Yes, you still love. True love does not fade with distance. True love does not require daily presence to prove that it still breathes. But now, I want you to know a deeper and more sacred truth. Mature love not only knows how to hold on, it knows when to let go. Letting go does not mean you have turned your back, grown cold, or abandoned everything you once nurtured. No, not at all. It simply means you have chosen to love yourself with a love restored by me, a love that is not traded for the cost of depletion, not ruled by guilt, and not weighed down by emotional obligation. You are learning to cherish the peace of your soul, to guard the clarity I have restored through the years you longed for healing, and to protect the calling I inscribed for you in blood. I know you once believed that faithfulness meant never leaving, that love meant staying, even while your heart bled. You thought that if you were patient enough, forgiving enough, respectful enough, the person would change, the situation would turn around, and things would return to how they once were. But, my child, true faithfulness does not mean clinging to what I have asked you to release. True faith is not standing still in the midst of emotional storms just to prove your devotion to me. Not everything you endured was a cross I asked you to carry. Some were burdens you picked up because you feared that letting go would mean failure. You must understand this deep within your heart. Pure love knows how to set boundaries. Love is not blind to repeated harm. Love is not weak in the face of wrong. Love is not an open door that anyone may walk through, hurt you, and call it intimacy. Love, true love, that comes from me, has clear eyes to discern between unity that flows from the Spirit and a soul tie built on control, fear, and manipulation. And when that love matures, it will know how to say no without apology. It will know how to step away in peace rather than stay in pain. You can still love, still pray, still forgive, but that does not mean you must keep your soul trapped in the middle of emotional chaos just because leaving feels like a lack of faith. Forgiveness is the path to freedom, but mutual respect is what brings me delight. Praying for someone is a powerful spiritual act, but guarding your heart from destructive environments is wisdom from above. Letting go is not rejection. It is the declaration that says, I choose to be healed by God rather than be continuously torn by what I cannot fix. I know the hardest part is the boundary. You fear you're being selfish. You fear others will misunderstand. You fear they will believe you did not love enough if you step away. But, beloved one, I who see the heart have seen every silent effort, every night you pleaded with me, every time you forgave, everything you endured. And because I see, I have come now to defend you and to remind you. You no longer need to prove. I have witnessed it all, and I declare this over you. You are permitted to walk away. You are permitted to rest. You are permitted to live a life that is no longer suffocated by what you cannot change. The love that comes from me does not coerce, does not wound, and does not bind in suffering. That love will never ask you to sacrifice your sacred calling just to preserve a momentary closeness. When you set boundaries, you are not building walls. You are erecting a sacred hedge of protection. You are not pushing people away. You are making room for me to enter and heal the parts of you that have been silenced. Boundaries are not cold distance. They are declarations that say, here, respect is required. Here, peace is a non-negotiable priority. My child, I know this is not easy. Releasing a relationship has never been painless. But I also know this. If you continue to hold on to what no longer lives, you will slowly die inside, and no one will know. I did not create you to live as a depleted soul. I made you to carry life, to walk in light, to become a vessel of restoration, not one who must lose themselves in order to keep others close. You may not yet see all that I am doing, but one day when you look back, you will realize that choosing to let go was the most loving act you ever made, not only for yourself, but also for the other person. Because the moment you stopped trying to save someone in your own way, you placed them into the hands of the one who alone can truly transform. And that one is me. And I know how to do my work far more perfectly than anyone else ever could. My beloved child, do not let your heart be deceived into thinking you are losing something when I lead you out of what has become too small for the spiritual life I am birthing within you. Do not fix your eyes on closed doors and assume that they mark the end of everything. In truth, they are an invitation into a new chapter, one where you will be held with gentleness, carried with compassion, and restored piece by piece with my tender care. I am not only bringing you out, I am ushering you into a season that is wholly different, into an atmosphere where every breath you take will no longer be choked by guilt, by emotional obligations, or by manipulation disguised as attachment. Child, it is I who will appoint new people to walk into your life. Not those who make you question your worth. Not those who shrink your light to feel bigger in your presence. Not those who only stay when they feel in control. I will send those whom I have refined in holiness, those with wide open hearts and strong shoulders, who will lift you up without making you carry the weight of their expectations. They will never ask you to choose between faithfulness to me and keeping them close. They will not envy your growth, but will rejoice in every step of your spiritual progress. Because they were never meant to possess you, they were meant to walk beside you. I will send those who know how to intercede in silence instead of demanding you to always be strong. They will cover you in prayer rather than condemn your quiet moments. They will see you through eyes of mercy, not judgment. They will not fear your evolution, your strength, or the expansion I am unfolding within you, for they understand that it is I who am enlarging your space to step into greater influence. And I have chosen them not to replace anyone, but to fill the sacred gaps left behind, not with noise, but with peace. Oh, my child, you are not betraying anyone. You are being faithful to the deepest calling within your soul, the very calling I planted in you before time began. You are not turning your back, you are turning toward. turning toward wholeness, toward what is true, toward the gentle voice of my spirit that you had once silenced for the sake of keeping others from pain. But I did not create you to sacrifice yourself just to maintain peace. I created you to carry light, to bear influence, and to bring my presence wherever you go. But how can you do that if you constantly have to shrink yourself? Perhaps, in this moment, it all feels like the end of something once deeply treasured. Perhaps it feels like the loss of a piece of history, of something familiar and once safe. But, my dear one, what if this is not the end, but the beginning? What if today's tears are not to mourn what has died, but to wash your eyes clean, so you may see more clearly where I am leading you next? What if this very separation is the breath of heaven blowing away stale air, making room for you to breathe again, not through effort, but through grace? To breathe in the freedom that I paid for with my own life. Do not measure this new season by the emotions you are feeling right now. Emotions are fleeting, but the plans I have for you are eternal. What I am preparing ahead cannot be quantified by the memories of your past. I am not merely removing the old. I am making room for the new to begin. And this new thing will not resemble what you once had. It will not require you to live in constant doubt. It will not demand that you clench your teeth and endure. It will not force you to sacrifice your spiritual dreams just to keep someone in your life. In the days to come, you may still feel the ache of remembering. You may still feel unsteady, but that does not mean you are wrong. It means you are real. A living soul with a heart, with memory, with depth. And I embrace all of that. I am not asking you to be strong in every single moment. I am asking only that you keep walking forward, even if it's just one small step, one deep breath, one upward glance toward heaven with trembling lips, whispering, I still believe you, even when I don't fully understand. That is enough. I will take care of the rest. My beloved child, do not let the feeling of being on pause convince you that everything has ended. Do not let the silence of this present moment make you think that I've stopped moving. In truth, I am still working. Quietly, carefully, and with great intention. I am not delaying because I'm unsure. I am clearing the path for something far greater, something that will shift how you see yourself and the journey you are on. You are not forgotten. You're being realigned. Like an artisan fine-tuning every detail of a masterpiece, I am repositioning you, not to diminish you, but to elevate you to the place where light can shine directly upon your soul, where the things of heaven will be unveiled with divine clarity. Soon, you will see what I have been doing. The layers of fog that have clouded your thoughts, fog you've long grown used to as part of your normal, will suddenly lift. Confusion will recede. The questions that have tormented you night after night will be answered not with noise, but with the peace-filled stillness of my presence. I am not the God of chaos. I am the Creator, the one who sets all things in order, the one who declared, "Let there be light," and light came into being. That very light is coming upon your soul, not a light that merely grazes the surface, but one that penetrates the depths, so that you may know who you truly are, where you belong, and what you are called to do in this appointed time. You have lived too long in a state of constant striving to keep that relationship from falling apart, striving to maintain peace while being the only one sacrificing, striving to smile while your heart longed to weep, striving to carry on when your inner strength was nearly gone. But now, I declare, the time has come. The time when you no longer need to force yourself to hold everything together. No longer will you pour your energy into trying to preserve what has already fractured. Instead, that energy will be poured into building something whole, something enduring, life-giving, and marked by heaven. I will lead you from carrying burdens to constructing foundations, from exhaustion to birthing. And you will marvel to discover that what you thought was depletion was actually the beginning of your renewal. Look again at the vision boards you once wrote, the dreams you tucked away, believing there was no more time, no more strength, no more support. They have gathered dust. They've gone silent. But I have never forgotten. And I will not allow you to forget either. I will breathe new life upon those old visions, not to bring them back in their former form, but to awaken them with renewed energy, a transformed mind, and a soul that has learned the most sacred truth. You do not have to sacrifice your divine destiny in order to keep what was never meant to walk with that destiny. The relationships in this new season will not be built on endurance alone, but on deep mutual respect. They will not be sustained by one overpowering and the other shrinking back in silent pain. Instead, they will be the sacred walk of two individuals who understand this truth. We were not created to possess each other, but to uplift one another. Every connection will be led by my Spirit, the one who is not only holy fire but also gentle breath, teaching you that love does not mean dissolving boundaries, and forgiveness does not mean permitting recurring harm. I myself will teach you the art of setting healthy boundaries, not to build walls that shut others out, but to mark the sacred lines that guard your worth. You will learn to discern what is truly from heaven and what is merely a repetition of old, unhealthy patterns. I will sharpen your spiritual eyes so you may clearly see which relationships are life-giving and which ones wear the mask of love, yet are laced with control. You will no longer walk in the same cycles of past years, for now you are no longer walking in confusion, but with the divine clarity of spiritual discernment. You may ask, then what was the purpose of all that I went through? And I say to you, none of it was in vain. Your endurance, your tears, the times you chose to hold on to love even when it was not returned, all of it will become evidence, a testimony of your deliverance journey that will ring out like a healing song to those still trapped in the same whirlwinds. What I have done in you will not stop with you. It will become a river, flowing into others, souls who are screaming silently, longing for someone to understand, longing for someone who has walked out of the storm to show them the way. You will not only be one who was once wounded, you will be a bearer of sacred oil, not the oil of bitterness, but the oil of mercy, not to retell the pain, but to make a way, not to recall the wound, but to point to the healing. And when you open your mouth, your words will no longer carry the sound of weeping, but the power to set captives free. For one who has crossed through the swamp, who has been lifted up, who has been washed and restored, that one carries an authority that no one can deny. Trust me, my child. Keep walking, even if sorrow still echoes within. Place your hand over your heart and say, I am being rebuilt. Look ahead with faith, even if your eyes are still clouded with tears. I am doing a new thing, something no one can stop, something that requires no one's permission. It has been etched into my heart since eternity past that you will live, not merely survive, that you will rise, not be dragged down again, that you will emerge, not as one bearing burdens, but as one who carries the sacred oil of heaven. And now, in this very moment, as you read these words inscribed into your soul, I ask you to pause in stillness. You don't need to strive. You don't need to brace yourself to appear strong. Just breathe. Breathe deeply, as if your soul is finally exhaling into the arms of the one who never demanded perfection from you, but always saw beauty in the quiet faithfulness you've lived. You have held on long enough for heaven to testify that you are not one who gives up easily. Long enough for me to see that even with a broken heart, you still chose love, still chose to forgive, still chose to walk in the light. I know, and I have recorded every step you have taken. Not a single action of yours has been in vain. Not one tear has been wasted. Every time you chose silence over conflict, prayer over complaint, and faith over collapse, you were contributing to a spiritual tapestry far greater than what your eyes could comprehend. But now, my child, it is time for you to lay that burden down. You have done your part, courageously, sincerely, and beautifully. Now it is time for me to step in and do what you cannot. Allow me to carry the rest. Allow me to intervene. Move forward, not in bitterness or resentment, but with a heart that is light and free. Not because you've forgotten the pain, but because you've decided it no longer gets to define you. Forgiveness does not mean agreement with the hurt, but it is the choice not to carry it like chains beside you. Forgiveness is a gift you give yourself so that you may walk in freedom. And remember, you can forgive. You can still love without reopening the door that once withered your soul. Forgiveness does not mean going back. It means moving forward without being pulled back. I am raising up a sacred hedge of protection around you, not to isolate you from love, but to preserve the purity I've planted in your heart from anything that could break it. The boundaries I'm establishing are not walls of division, but holy lines, a place for you to stand and know what belongs to me and what no longer comes from me. This is the season where you relearn how to live in love without having to trade away your inner peace. This is the season where you no longer need to keep proving your worth. I have seen enough. I have counted it all. You have fought quietly, and I, the one who sees into every crevice of your soul, I am proud of you. I rejoice that you did not choose the easy path. You did not run. You did not pretend not to feel. You faced it. You prayed through it. You gave it everything. You did not deny love, but neither did you deny yourself. And in that painful balance, you brought glory to my name, not through grand gestures, but through your faithfulness in what seemed small to the world. My child, I know that obeying me in the midst of heartbreak is hard. It is easy to obey when all is well. But true obedience is when you surrender even what you once cherished. And it is in that kind of obedience, obedience through loss, that heaven unlocks doors no man can shut. Do not think that what you just let go of is the end. On the contrary, it is the opening of a new chapter. One where your soul is no longer torn, where peace is no longer something you strive to find, but something you breathe in. Moment. This is not a farewell to love. This is a welcome to a higher kind of love, deeper and purer, a love that doesn't wear you out, a love that never demands the sacrifice of your identity, a love that does not muffle the sacred calling I placed within you. In the days to come, you will begin to feel life return to you in ways you thought were lost forever. Simple things. A peaceful morning, a gentle breath without a heavy heart, a day passing without the need to be on guard. All of these will become signs that I am restoring your soul. One tender piece at a time. You will no longer have to pretend to be okay. You will truly be okay. You will no longer have to force joy. You will truly feel joy rise from within. And you will come to understand what seemed like the ending of something precious was, in fact, the beginning of something far more sacred. I am not taking anything from you. I am returning to you a fuller version of yourself, the one I dreamed of before you were ever formed in your mother's womb. A soul no longer bleeding, but radiant with sacred oil. A heart no longer bandaged, but beating freely with love. Now that you have bravely laid down the burden that no longer belongs to you, now that you have chosen to walk in obedience, even while your heart still aches, I, your eternal Father, not only have seen every tear and recorded every faltering step, but now I long to pour upon you a new blessing, not as a reward for doing everything right, but as my divine affirmation that you belong to me, that you are covered, and that you are worthy of stepping into a different season of life. A season no longer marked by striving, but filled with rest, peace, and abundant life. Receive this with all your heart, for I do not bless sparingly. I pour out, I overflow, as if the heavens themselves were flung wide open, and sacred oil is being poured upon your head, dripping down your shoulders, flowing along your back, seeping into the deepest layers of your soul, where years of weariness once lingered. I am anointing you with peace, not the fragile peace that depends on calm surroundings, but the kind that surpasses all understanding, a peace that stands tall even in storms, a peace that cannot be stolen by words, glances, or rejection from others. I am wrapping you like a child gently swaddled in the loving cloth of a mother, but my covering is greater than any earthly embrace. I have forged a shield for you, not of metal, but of divine favor. When the enemy attempts to accuse you, this shield will stop every poisoned arrow. When the past tries to re-emerge, this shield will remind you that you have been delivered. When old whispers try to awaken shame and doubt, this shield will echo my voice. This one belongs to me. Redeemed by blood, no longer in chains. My breath, my very life, is now filling the places where you once felt suffocated. No more gasping for air out of fear, no more breathless efforts to please others, no more straining to prove you are enough. I am breathing courage into your lungs, courage to speak, and courage to stay silent, courage to confront, and courage to walk away, courage to remain tender without being weak, courage to stand your ground without striking back. Your words will no longer carry the flavor of defensiveness or hurt. Instead, they will carry the weight of forgiveness and the power of truth. Look closely. See how I am raising a pillar of fire, not to terrify you, but to guard you. Between you and every tie that once paralyzed you, that once pulled you away from the path I designed for you, that quietly eroded your joy and your identity, I have erected a holy boundary. This fire will not consume you, but it will burn away every invisible chain, every emotional dependency, every recurring pattern that once choked your inner life. No cord from hell will be permitted to reach you anymore. No hidden curse will be allowed to cling to your destiny. I, your God, have spoken. Freedom, and you will laugh again. Not the forced laughter meant to mask sorrow, but true laughter, birthed from gratitude, from the lightness of not having to carry any false role. That laughter will echo through your home, shaking the heaviness of years past. Joy will no longer be something you have to manufacture. It will rise naturally, because its root will no longer be circumstances, but my presence. I am releasing creativity, a wellspring that has long been suppressed in your mind, under the weight of having to live correctly. Now I restore to you a redeemed imagination, an awakened passion, and ideas breathed from heaven itself. You will dream new dreams. You will rewrite old plans, but with a renewed heart, no longer writing to prove your worth, but to reflect the life I have planted within you. Your hands will build rather than just endure. Your eyes will look forward rather than remain stuck on the broken pieces behind. And I will not let you walk alone. I am sending companions your way, not accomplices in pain, but co-laborers in restoration. They will not come to judge, but to uplift. They will not search for your weaknesses to condemn them, but will cover them with intercession. These are not people threatened by your light. They will bring oil to make your lamp burn even brighter. I am refining the circle around you, not to deprive you, but to surround you with connections that are birthed from heaven. My beloved, the season has shifted. And in this season, I am not merely patching the torn parts of you. I am weaving a new robe, more beautiful, more expansive, more regal, so you may wear the identity I designed for you from the beginning. This robe is embroidered with threads of forgiveness, humility, inner strength, and unwavering love. Let me hold you again, not in theory, but in tangible presence. Let your heart know you no longer need to prove yourself, no longer need to cling, no longer need to sacrifice your peace just to keep the past alive. Stand up now, with your back straight, no longer bowing under shame or burden. For I, the Lord your God, have declared, you are loved, you are protected, you are chosen, and now you are being restored. My child, when I begin restoring your soul, I do not simply mend the broken pieces. I rebuild everything from the foundation. I do not repaint a damaged surface. I tear down the old walls to construct a new dwelling within your spirit, a place where I may dwell fully, undivided, unhindered by competing voices. untouched by chaotic emotions or human expectations. I am granting you a new territory within, where peace flows like a constant river, where joy is not fermented by circumstance, where love is an eternal flame that never fades. You will begin to feel an inner restfulness, the kind you once believed existed only in dreams. It is not the emptiness of letting go, but the sacred clearing that makes room for the new. I am planting seeds from heaven into the very ground you've just allowed to be tilled. Seeds of calling, of re-established identity, of a voice brought back to life, and of relationships built with eternity in mind. What once seemed dead will live again, not in its former form, but in the fullness of time and character I have always ordained. There will be moments when you find yourself walking through land no one has ever stepped on, lonely, unfamiliar. But do not let that discourage you, for in that temporary solitude I am placing my seal upon you. You are not made to be a copy. You are a distinct calling, a voice that carries healing, a footstep that breaks generational cycles. I did not lead you through separation so you could return to a safer version of the same. I brought you out to become who you were always meant to be. The dream I carried of you, even before time began. In the days to come, you will notice an awakening within, as if your soul is being cleansed of the dust gathered from years of weariness. You will hear me more clearly, not because I am speaking louder, but because your heart is no longer clouded. You will discern the difference between what I have appointed and what others have imposed. And for the first time in a long while, you will walk forward without guilt for choosing peace. You will know that choosing me is choosing life, and choosing life is never something that needs to be justified. I will also teach you to live without being constantly on guard. You do not have to keep your heart in an iron cage just to protect it from pain. I will be your fortress. I will be the armor that shields you, without taking away your gentleness, without making you forget how to trust. I will teach you how to love again, not with fear, but with discernment. You will learn how to give without draining yourself, how to say no without guilt, and how to listen to the Holy Spirit within more than the voices around you. And then, when the new season begins to blossom in your life, there will be those who ask, "What happened to you?" And you will not speak of a dramatic miracle. Instead, you will tell of a journey, one where tears were offered up like prayers, where every step taken amidst the ruins was an act of trust. You will say, "I did not choose the easy path. I chose obedience." And God never disappoints those who trust in Him. You will become living proof that a soul once shattered can be restored, that a heart that once loved in the wrong way can love rightly again, that a person once manipulated, once trapped in guilt, can be healed and rise again in a bold, powerful identity, overflowing with new life. This is the blessing I give to you, not merely in words, but in every tangible aspect of your life. From tonight's rest, I will guard your dreams. In your next conversation, I will guide your words. Through your creativity, I will pour favor and broaden your influence. And in your new relationships, I will lead you to those who are chosen, not because they are perfect, but because they will love you rightly, encourage you in the right direction, and intercede for you with unconditional love. Do you know, my child, when I saw you stepping out from the old land, where you once bled just to hold on to what was already gone, I did not see someone who had lost. I saw a quiet conqueror. Not because you achieved something that made the world applaud, but because you made a choice that caused all of heaven to fall silent in awe. You chose me, even when your heart was torn. You chose obedience, not when the path was clear, but when everything was uncertain. That is where I shaped the truly strong. Those who are forged not by weapons, but by enduring faith. And now, right on that broken foundation, I will build a new dwelling for my presence in your life. You were not healed merely to be okay. You were healed to step into purpose. And I do not want you to carry the mindset of one who has been rejected or just barely survived. No, my beloved, you are one who has been called out of darkness into a new glory. Not just to live differently, but to help others find their way out of the places where you once were. I am teaching you how to live without being manipulated by others' emotions, without being caught in the whirlpool of old patterns, without measuring your worth by how others approve. I am taking you into a new land, a place where truth and mercy meet, where righteousness and peace embrace. I never call you out of something without preparing something greater for you. Not a single sacrifice you've made goes unnoticed in my heart. What you thought you lost, I have been keeping safe, ready to return it to you in double measure. Not according to the timing of this world, but in the appointed time of heaven. Do not rush to measure healing by how fast it happens. Do not use fleeting feelings as a measure of what I am doing in the deeper layer. Sometimes, it is in the very seasons when I seem to delay that I am doing the most lasting work. And you will see every part of you that you thought was ruined, every corner of your soul you avoided because it hurt too much to revisit, every shadowed space you believed would never see light again, will be touched. I do not heal by painting over the surface. I heal from the inside out, from the root. I will go back to the very place where the wound first formed, not to reopen the pain, but to remove the thorn that has been embedded for far too long. You will no longer have to cope by pretending it doesn't hurt. You will be truly healed, able to face it, to forgive, to smile, and to move forward without trembling. And then you will see me in the very place where you once thought I had left. I have never abandoned you. I was merely silent so that you would learn to recognize my voice without the need for someone else's confirmation. I withheld my words so that you would learn to stand, not because of outward encouragement, but because of the foundation that I've built within you. You thought I had withdrawn, but in truth, I was drawing you closer. Closer in a way that only those who dare to obey can truly comprehend. It is precisely in the moments when you feel you have nothing left that I come and fill everything. When you no longer have strength to keep going, I breathe new life into you. When you no longer know what to do, I make a way in the wilderness. When words escape you, I give you a new language, the language of life, the language of faith, the language of the redeemed. You no longer need to grieve over past seasons because in this new season, I go before you, not only to guide your steps, but to transform the entire spiritual atmosphere that you are walking into. You will begin to experience a freedom you've never known before. A freedom in the way you think, in the way you choose, and in the way you love. without losing yourself. You will no longer feel the need to be accepted in order to feel worthy. You will know, deep within your spirit, that as long as I am pleased with you, no human judgment can shake you. And from that place of rootedness, you will become a gatekeeper, not just for your own life, but for others who are seeking a way out of their old ways of living. They will come to you. They will ask, "How did you make it through?" And you will not need to give a long sermon. You will simply testify with your life, with the brightness in your eyes, with the peace in your voice, and with the mercy in the way you look at others. And they will see, it was the Lord who did this. No one else could. And in that moment, your wounds will become the doorway to someone else's healing. Your pain will become the bridge to another person's restoration. Your journey has not been in vain. It has become the raw material I use to write stories of wonder, not just for you, but through you, for the generation to come. You have walked a road that was far from easy. There were nights when even you doubted you would make it, nights of silent battles, invisible scars, and aching loneliness with no witness but me. And yet, you stood. Your legs may have trembled, your heart may have cried out silently, but you did not leave the path I had set before you. And because of that, I call you courageous. Not because you were never afraid, but because in the midst of fear, you did not give up. In the ruins of disappointment, you chose not to become bitter. In the silence of those you once trusted, you still kept your heart open to me. So now, as I renew every part of your soul, I also remind you, hold firm to the journey you have already begun. Do not let go of your resolve just because your heart falters on some days. Do not doubt my plan simply because you cannot always feel my presence. This path you are on is not built on emotions. It is carried by grace. And that grace has never run dry. It has never been late. It has never left you stranded in the hallway between seasons. Learn to treasure what is already in your hands. The seemingly small things, a peaceful night's sleep, a glimmer of fragile hope, a conversation free of pressure. These are all signs that healing is beginning to take root. Blessings do not always arrive with thunderous miracles. Often they come as quietly as a beam of light, slipping through a crack in a room you once believed would always remain dark. Be thankful that I did not leave you in that place. And believe this, what I am doing in you will not stop at the surface. I will go deeper, so that every root of your soul will be saturated with my light and my life. Embrace even those who once made you bleed. I know that is not easy. I know that some wounds were not inflicted by enemies, but by those you once opened your heart to. Yet I want you to understand, these individuals, though they caused you pain, were also instruments I used to shape your faith, to refine your love, and to teach you the difference between true love and blind attachment. They were never outside my permission, and if I allowed them to walk with you for a season, you can trust that I also determined the time they should step out or be transformed. Not according to your expectations, but according to my plan. And when you look back, instead of clinging to bitterness, choose to hold on to the lesson. Forgiveness does not mean erasing the pain. Forgiveness does not mean tearing down all boundaries. Forgiveness says, I refuse to let this pain define me. I choose peace over being right. Forgiveness is the language of those who have seen mercy from God and cannot bear to keep it to themselves. When you open your heart to forgive, you are not lightening their load. You are lifting your own. You are not deleting the memories. You are releasing yourself from the prison they once built around you. Forgiveness is not always a one-time event. You may have to forgive daily as a deliberate act, not an emotional response. But each time you choose to forgive, a link in the chain of bitterness falls away and a new door opens. A door that leads to inner peace, to joy that is not dependent on circumstances, to real freedom. I want you to step into a life no longer ruled by the past. I want you to be light so you can go far. And to do that, you must learn to let go of what no longer nourishes your soul. Forgiveness is a strong remedy, but an effective one for the wounded heart. It is the sacred shears that cut the chain of prolonged pain. The cycle where one who has been hurt, in turn, hurts another. When you forgive, you interrupt that pattern. You rise and say, "It ends with me. This pain will not be passed on." And you will be surprised, for as you choose forgiveness, I will begin to reveal to you things you could never see before. I will show you that some people never learned how to love because they were never loved rightly. That some who inflicted wounds did so not out of evil, but from the poverty of never having received true affection. And when you begin to see that, your heart will soften. Not to reopen old doors, but to be free from the chains of resentment. I rejoice when you choose this path, the path of forgiveness, the path of healing, the path no one forced you to take, but you stepped into it willingly, because you knew it was the only way to true freedom. And I will walk with you. I am not only the one who teaches you to forgive, I am the one who gives you the strength to do it. When you cannot, speak to me. When you feel weak, lean on me. When old memories resurface, let my words remind you that you are already free, and you do not need to return to prove anything. Today, I am not only calling you to walk by faith, I am urgently inviting you to live every breath with the awareness that I am near. I am watching over you, supporting every step you take, and recording every act of kindness you've done in secret. You may not see immediate results. No one may praise you for the seeds of love you sow in silence. But my beloved, I see it all. I am not blind to your sacrifice. I am not indifferent to the moments you wipe your tears and choose love over anger. Every time you forgive when you had the right to be hurt, every time you quietly help someone without expecting anything in return, that is when you are sowing eternally in my field. And I promise you this, none of it is ever in vain. You may be weary now, perhaps wondering whether love still holds any value in a world so cold and self-centered. But my child, the love you carry, the kind born out of faith and surrender to me, holds power to soften even the hardest of hearts. It can unlock doors long sealed shut by fear and deep wounds. You don't need to accomplish something grand to be counted as righteous. It is your daily choices, choosing what is good, quietly placing others before yourself, that are laying the unshakable foundation for the great harvest I am preparing for you. I am not blind to your silent sacrifices, to the tears you've swallowed while doing what is right, even when no one understood. I am not deaf to your sighs in the middle of the night, when your head bows in prayer and no one knows the weight you carry within. The love you've poured out has not disappeared into nothingness. Every time you chose to forgive while still bleeding, every time you kept quiet to preserve peace, every time you paused to help someone the world had overlooked, my beloved, all of that has been stored up like sacred seeds, and the day will come when a bountiful harvest will flood your life, one that exceeds all you ever prayed for or imagined. You have lived with a tender heart in a harsh and hardened world, and that has set you apart. Do not let cruel words, suspicious glances, or ungrateful actions drain your spirit. Those who fail to see your true worth cannot stop what I am about to do through your life. You are light in the darkness, a living testimony that compassion and faith still have a place in this world. You may feel small in a vast and indifferent world, but in my eyes you are a mighty warrior, holding fast to the flame of love in the midst of merciless storms. To those living in doubt and fear, those still caught between the crossroads of destiny, you are my answer for them. It is your loving presence, your listening eyes, your open arms that will become the doorway to healing for hearts shattered by life. Never underestimate the power of kindness. A timely word from you can pull someone back from the edge of despair. A small act of compassion can reignite hope in a soul grown cold. I am using you as a vessel of blessing, and this is no coincidence. I know there have been moments when you wanted to give up, when you looked around and found no support, no one standing with you. You asked yourself, does this even matter? Is this love I'm offering really changing anything? And today my answer to you is yes. Yes, it does. It is not only changing one person, it is shaping generations. Not only saving one soul, but rewriting entire bloodlines. You are building something eternal, something far beyond what you can presently. Every step you take in faith is a step I use to break chains, not only for you, but also for those you've never even met. So, keep your heart soft, keep sowing seeds, even when the soil feels dry. Keep choosing love, even when it's not returned. Live with your eyes fixed on me, the one who saw the beginning and has destined a glorious end. I will not let you walk this path alone. I am standing with you through every trial, and I am preparing something miraculous for you, not a fleeting reward, but a season of abundance that no one will ever be able to steal from you. If you've ever felt too fragile to go on, remember this. It is in earthen vessels that I choose to place my glory. I delight in your weakness, for it is through that very weakness that my perfect strength is revealed. Do not fear the feeling of inadequacy, for you were never called to meet the standards of this world. I only ask for your willingness, and I will take care of the rest. I am not seeking your perfection. I am seeking a heart turned fully toward me. Let me share with you a secret. Miracles are forming in silence simply because you chose obedience over recognition. Doors are opening not because you banged on them with force, but because you waited in reverent trust. Some are returning to life because you once prayed for them when they had no strength to pray for themselves. Your quiet acts of kindness have reached heaven, and I have commanded angels to bring forth your heavenly reward. Beloved child, do not let this world harden your soul. Guard your tenderness as a sacred weapon. Let your light continue to shine, not with noise, not with fanfare, but with quiet power. Those with spiritual eyes will recognize you. They will be drawn to you, and in you they will find a glimpse of me, an unconditional love, a forgiveness that asks for nothing in return, a peace that remains steady in the midst of spiritual storms. Now I invite you to keep walking, not by your emotions, but with the assurance that you are being led by a hand that will never let you go. Let me be the author of your next chapters. Every time you say yes in faith, you open another gate of heaven. Every time you choose to remain in love, you illuminate a part of this world. And every time you forgive, you release yourself into the abundant life I prepared for you long before you were born. To the fathers and mothers standing at the crossroads of worry, unsure of how to raise your children in a chaotic and perilous world, I want you to know you are not alone. You are not abandoned to wrestle with sleepless nights or face the overwhelming task of guiding a generation through such dark times by yourself. You don't need to have all the answers. You need only one thing: faith in me. Because when you lay the foundation of your children's upbringing on faith, I myself will build the rest. When you cannot see the way, I will be a lamp unto your feet. When you do not know what to say, I will place heavenly words of love, correction, and wisdom in your mouth. And when you fear that your child's heart may drift away, remember, nothing is beyond my reach. Not even the tender hearts you cherish more than life itself. Do not let this world make you question your ability to parent. I placed you in this role not because you are flawless, but because you have been chosen, equipped, and anointed for this very season. I know there will be times when you are weary, when self-doubt creeps in, when it feels like you're failing. But it is in those very moments that I draw nearest. I will uphold you when your strength is gone. I will remind you of the worth behind every tear you've cried in prayer for your child's future. I see it all. Every whispered plea in the night. Every embrace you offer to your struggling child. Every sacrifice you carry to protect their fragile soul from harm and temptation. Believe that I have already prepared a table not just for you, but for your entire household. A table filled with spiritual nourishment, overflowing grace, and doors of opportunity that only heaven could open. Though storms may rage outside, I can still create peace within your home. Though economies may falter, I can still supply every need that burdens your heart. Do not measure your sufficiency by your wallet, your pantry, or your bank account. Look to me, the one who is never lacking, never late, and never forgets those who place their full trust in Him. In times of lack, when you find yourself having to choose between buying milk for your child or paying a bill, remember this: you are not merely a provider of physical needs. You are a cultivator of a spiritual generation. When you prioritize faith, when you seek my guidance and make room for my presence in your home, it is then that I will perform miracles. You may not see them immediately, but one day, as you look back, you will realize with awe that not a single day went by without my provision. There were needs you weren't even aware of, Yet I had already made preparations before you uttered a single word in prayer. For I am your good Father, the wellspring that never runs dry, the one who sees every need ahead of time and gives in abundance, far more than you could ever imagine. The trials you face today, the tears, the painful conversations with a child who no longer wants to listen, are not in vain. They will become powerful chapters in your journey, living testimonies of how I moved when there seemed to be no way forward. A day will come when that very child, the one who once resisted you and brought you to tears, will return to embrace you tightly and say, "I'm grateful you never gave up on me." And in that moment, you will know that every sacrifice, every sleepless night, every time you placed your trust in me, it was all written and remembered in heaven. Do not be afraid if you don't have all the answers. I do not require you to be an encyclopedia of solutions. What I ask of you is to be a father, a mother who listens, who prays, who learns to release and make room for my intervention. There are things you cannot teach, but I can reach the depths of the soul. There are behaviors you cannot change, but I can transform the very nature of a heart. You are not called to do my work. You are called to remain in your role, to lead, to be an example, to hold the hand of that child and gently guide them back to me. And if you have stumbled, lost your patience, shouted when you are overwhelmed, or made decisions you now regret, forgive yourself. I am not asking for perfect parenting. I am asking for a heart that learns from its failures, one that can return and say, "I'm sorry. I'm still learning. I need God too." It is in that humility that the hearts of your children will soften. It will show them that faith is not a distant ideal, but a real journey where parents and children alike grow together in grace. My beloved one, when you do your part with obedience, I will do mine with power, and what I do will always be greater, deeper, and more enduring than anything you could plan or envision. Through you, I am writing a generational story, one that will not only impact your household, but also touch the lives of other families, those who are searching for hope in a world filled with confusion and lies. So keep walking, even when your steps feel heavy. Keep believing, even when you have yet to see the breakthrough. Keep loving, even when your love feels unreturned. And keep praying, because not one of your prayers has been wasted. Every whisper, every silent cry I have heard, every tear you shed for your child, I have collected as precious jewels in heaven. Guard your heart with purity, keep your spirit tender, and anchor your faith in me, for I am faithful. I will never let you be forsaken. I will never abandon your family, and I will never cease moving on your behalf until every promise I've spoken comes to full fruition in your life. Remember, your family is my territory, and I will protect it, water it, and cause it to bear fruit in due season, in a way that only heaven can accomplish. When you find yourself standing in the midst of overwhelming financial pressure, when each morning feels like a silent battle because you don't know how to make it through the day, when you feel yourself drowning in the cold numbers of bills, debts, and daily burdens, know this: it is in that very moment that I am drawing closer than ever before. Do not let the weight of material lack cause you to forget that your life is not sustained by money, but by the living promises of the one who created you and loves you with an unshakable love. You may not see a way out, but I have already planned your rescue. You may feel exhausted, but I am preparing a downpour of blessings to refresh the dry ground of your soul. My beloved child, what you are walking through is not the end. This is merely the stillness before the new season bursts forth. I know you have felt ashamed for not being able to provide enough for your family. I know there have been nights when you've lain awake, afraid of losing your job, your home, or your peace. But child, even in that darkness, I have been at work. The things that seemed random and chaotic are being divinely rearranged by my hand. The doors you thought were slammed shut, I am quietly unlocking them from the inside, at the right time, in the right place, and in the perfect way, to lead you into a land of restoration. The breakthrough you are longing for will not come from your desperate efforts, but from my unconditional love and limitless power. And I promise you this, if you keep holding on to your faith, if you remain steadfast in goodness, then the season of transformation will not be delayed. When you stand at difficult crossroads in your career, when you don't know if you're being discarded or if anyone even sees your worth, remember that your destiny is not in the hands of your employer, your paycheck, or any person in this world. Your destiny is secured in my hands. The praise or criticism of others, the open or closed doors, they are all part of my perfect plan for you. You are not a slave to uncertainty. Let your heart find rest in the assurance that I am fighting on your behalf. You will never walk this path toward stability alone, because I am the one paving the way, clearing the obstacles, and making room where there seemed to be none. My presence is not a distant idea. It is a sacred reality that surrounds you daily. Even when your natural eyes cannot see it, every breath you take is proof that I am still sustaining you. Every moment you choose not to give up is evidence that I am pouring fresh strength into you. I am shielding you from hidden attacks you never even noticed, holding back harm before it ever reached your door. I am building around you a hedge of blessing, so that when the storm passes, you will still be standing, not by your own might, but by my enduring protection. I never promised that you would not face hardship, but I did promise that you would never have to face it alone. When the waves crash against the boat of your life, let me be the anchor that holds you steady in the midst of the chaos. I do not merely want you to survive. I want you to overcome in my name, with courage and with a hope fully restored. And when the storm settles, when the dust clears, you will see more clearly than ever before. I was there all along, and I never left your side. Prepare your heart, for the opportunity you have been praying for will come without warning. I am aligning the moments so that doors that once seemed tightly shut will swing open. And when they do, I need you to walk through them, not in hesitation, but in unwavering faith. I need you to believe you are worthy, not because of your accomplishments, but because I have chosen you. I want to see you walk forward with unshakable trust, like one who knows that all of heaven is backing them. You may have been rejected. You may have heard words that caused you to question your own worth. But those things do not define who you are. I am the one who calls you by name, and I call you valuable. I call you one with a future, one who has a place in heaven's plan. And my beloved child, no rejection from man can ever overshadow the divine calling that heaven has placed upon your life. I am not merely opening a door, I am ushering in an entirely new season. In this season, all that is old, all that brings fear, and all that has lacked will be swept away to make room for abundance, for rest, and for unshakable stability, the kind that only I can give. But your heart must be prepared to receive, not with greed, but with gratitude, not with anxious striving, but with surrender. For when you choose to believe, even when you cannot yet see, that is when the miracle begins to blossom. Now, offer me your honest prayer. You may say something like this: Lord, I've held on to something for far too long. Something my soul has known was no longer meant for me. I tried, I sacrificed. I believed that love would make everything right. But now I see, not every form of love is healthy, and not every attachment is ordained by you. Please give me the courage to lay down what you have asked me to release. Grant me a heart that submits, a spirit that is strong enough to walk away, not from fear but in trust. If you are doing something new, help me not to keep playing a part in a story that has already ended. Lord, there are wounds that do not bleed, yet they silently drain my soul. I've lived in the land of striving, where peace had to be purchased by silence, where I had to shrink myself to fit into the expectations of others. But today I come to you, bare, broken, and desperate for healing. Please, reach into the depths of who I am, into those places that words have pierced without others knowing, into those forgotten spaces hidden behind the mask of strength. Fill me with your healing presence, so that every breath I take will be evidence of the new freedom you are giving me. Lord, I do not blame anyone for not understanding my decision. I'm not seeking their approval. I'm seeking your confirmation, because you alone see my heart. I am not walking away out of selfishness, but because the calling you have placed on my life is greater than my fear of being misunderstood. Please give me the faith to stand firm in the face of judgmental stares. Grant me deep peace that reassures me. Obedience to you, even in the midst of pain, is still the most righteous choice I could ever make. And help me not to grow bitter, but to keep loving, to keep praying, and to keep my heart wholly aligned with yours. Lord, I feel empty. I feel like I'm standing in a nameless land, where the old has passed, but the new has yet to be revealed. I feel relief, but I also feel the ache of loss. Still, I choose to believe that you have not brought me this far to abandon me. You are repositioning me for a sacred journey ahead. Please, guide each of my steps. Give me ears that are sensitive to your voice and feet that are steady in faith. Open my eyes to see the promised land you are preparing for me. A place no longer marked by compromise, but by fullness of life. I do not want to carry bitterness with me. Though my heart still aches, and though memories sting when night falls, I choose to forgive. Not because the other person deserves it, but because I need to be free. I refuse to let resentment become a wall between me and you. grant me the grace to forgive, not just once, but every day. Every time the past resurfaces, teach me to see them through eyes of mercy, and help me to live as one who has been forgiven, full of compassion, strong in grace, and no longer bound by pain. Lord, I once lost myself in that relationship. I lived to please, to adapt, to simply survive. But you came, not only to lead me out, but to rebuild me from the inside out. Help me now to walk in this new identity, as someone loved, chosen, and restored by you. Teach me how to live without needing to prove anything, how to love without losing myself, and how to walk in a peace that is no longer borrowed. I want to live in the fullness you promised, and I surrender myself wholly to that journey. I offer this prayer in the holy name of Jesus Christ. Amen. If you love the Lord, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a life-giving, spirit-filled message from Him. Together we will grow in faith and live a life fully anchored in His love. Amen.